All right. Some technical difficulties tonight, but we in here now. I think I'm in here by myself at the present moment, which is cool. Kind of like myself. I have a smooth, melodious voice. We're just gonna glide right on in here and get ready to get started. I don't know what just happened, but I'll take it real easy. We're gonna start setting up this room. As always, for those of y'all who don't know, there is a tremendous amount to speak about. And we're going to handle it all right here tonight on the Think Tank. If you're not aware of the Think Tank, if you're new to the show, we discuss politics. We cover a lot of what's going on with Trump and what's going on in the world today. It started off as a think tank to deal with social issues that were close to home for me. But there's the truth of the matter. Donald Trump has taken over my show like he's taken over many other things. And uh, the man keeps me busy. He is doing so much that a normal human being can't keep up with him. Some might ask, how could an 89-year-old man, the oldest living president in the history of the country, sitting president in the living of the country, and of all time, no one's been older sitting in the office. He talked about Biden, how old he is. He's older than Biden was when he was in office. And it shows. You take a look at that man and you say, he's a really old man. Is this good, bad? Well, I'm going to leave that up for the audience to decide. Here's the truth of the matter. I am not quite sure. I'm not happy at what I'm looking at. Take the political points out of it and just watching his behavior is demeaning to the country. It's insane. Some people might say it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. You should be too. Uh, I'm not telling anybody. I don't want to tell anybody how they should think. As I set this up, I'll be done in a minute. Putin and Zelensky, got to get Zelensky in there. Apparently, this fraud, this gangster, and if you don't like me calling him these things, then pay attention to what's going on. This man is doing too much. He's put this country in danger. A World War III, being in middle, being the antagonist, in my personal opinion, of World War III. He's actually announced World War III. He said it's going to happen. Like, it was months ago. And of course, people ignored it. I've heard many statements like it's just Trump being Trump. which is to me crazy. So it's okay. Sip on my tea. It helps me to find my zen as I'm speaking about such a disgusting human being. And let's be clear, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. Why am I disgusted? Because this man, he does things that should not be tolerated. And he does it with what seems like the blessing of the country. But it's not, because Americans are not stupid. The America that I'm looking at now, it's almost like we're looking at Hitler, or I don't know, dare I say, you ready for it? Putin. It's like we're looking at Putin. This man is running the country as an authoritarian dictator. I apologize. I'm setting up. I don't have a lot of time. I'm running a little behind today. With all of the things going on in my life, I be honest with you, I took a nap right before we were supposed to get started. And I woke up, I'm running behind, which is okay. I'm human, but it is what's happening. I'm running behind. And I apologize about that. I apologize, but we're still going to come in. We're going to get to talk about all of the things that we need to discuss. And I'm going to have this up and ready for y'all in two shakes. But we do have a lot to discuss. I'm having a hard time. Today's not my night, but I got everything set. We're going to go and kick behind and take names. That's what's going to happen tonight. We're going to talk about all these things that we need to discuss. And I'm not going to allow, you know what? I'm not going to do this now. We're just going to do this so we can get started, because there's just too much happening. With, right now, as a black person in this country, I'm fearful. I shouldn't even be having these discussions with y'all. What if they come in and Gestapo style treat me like I'm Spanish? What do I mean by that? What if they just send in the cops, masks on, guns drawn, no badges, unmarked car, throw me in the back of a truck somewhere and put me in a tent surrounded by alligators with deplorable food? What's happening to my kids if that happens? Because that's what they do in the Spanish people. Do I think I'm better than they are? Or you might say, well, you're not an immigrant. You would never be treated like that. They only treat certain people like that. And I got some information today that actually you might be right. But I'm going to save that for an episode. We're going to talk about why that is. That's not going to be for today. We are, however, going to speak about a few other things that are up. I'm about ready. About ready. Let me let my team know that we're set up. Let me let my team know. Ta 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 ta. I mean, and as a black person, especially, right? I should be more terrified, and I am. Oh, hold on. Hello. All right. Yeah, because I'm on. All right. As a black person, I'm more terrified. Now, why am I afraid as a black man? Like, why would I be afraid like the Spanish people are? How does that make sense? Make that make sense. I'm not an immigrant. Why would I be afraid of what the immigrants are afraid of? Uh-oh. And we have the Honorable Dion Powell getting ready to come in. Happy to have him. Well, I don't have to worry about them coming and treating me like that could be, an interpretation. But here's the truth of the matter. They've already taken away affirmative action. They've already taken away DEI. They're throwing people, they're arresting people. They want to be able to literally arrest people based on the way they look. They're literally saying that. They're not giving due process. Courts are fighting on that. So I could be sitting in jail for months. Years, God knows how long. Truthfully, at the present moment, I'm not quite as terrified of it as I could be. And that's because there's guys with bigger channels that are having discussions that have not been touched as of yet. But as I pay attention and look and watch and move forward, I can't help but to note that, oh, what is going on with Dion? People from the mainstream media are slowly being X'd out. It's almost like you speak against Trump, you got to worry about consequences. If you prosecuted Trump, you got to worry about consequences. If you're in Trump's crosshairs, you got to worry about the Department of Justice being weaponized and used against you. And I speak and I say things that I am actually truly concerned that as the screws tighten, as things get worse, it won't just be the mainstream media. We'll start with the mainstream media, then slowly begin to target the rest of us, because that's what authoritarians do. And there's no reason to think that he wouldn't. He's targeting everybody else. Why wouldn't he target me? It's an authoritarian regime. It's without question. It's what's happening. It's not debatable. I look at the Attorney General for New York, Letitia James. Letitia James. She successfully prosecuted him for committing multiple felonies. The person that was defending him and lost is now the second most powerful attorney in the land, a man named Todd Blanche. He's placed in the Department of Justice. He took that same Department of Justice that he placed his attorney that lost to Letitia James in, and aimed that Department of Justice at Letitia James, and now she's being investigated for harassing him, basically, on a case that was tried and he was convicted on. Like, if you can take the Department of Justice and target them at an attorney that won a case against you, what does a little guy like me have to do to be able to survive? If he ever comes after me, I'm not the attorney general for the state of New York. I'm a little podcaster. It's scary. He's going after journalists. He's absolutely going after people, shutting them up. I'm concerned about having a voice right now. I'm more concerned about not speaking. So I'm not going to shut up. And I'm going to pray. Meanwhile, I have my friend here, longtime friend, associate, the Honorable Dion Powell. And we
That's
have about 4 minutes
me.
before we start.
Yes,
I
I'm
see
just
you
setting
already
up
got your
this
lighting and everything set up.
bipolar. Yes, 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 yes. This is going to be the last live from Ghana. So how about that?
Yeah, it's August. I know you're coming home soon.
End of the week, Lord willing, as they say.
Well, as long as Israel's not turned against you.
Oh. I'm closer to Israel than you are, let's just say, in New York.
Well, I mean, you're in Africa, and Israel's part of Africa. So
Yeah,
I would suppose you're on the same continent, for starters.
the Horn of Africa. Just let me send these out for our sort of, yeah, okay, that's what I needed to do. Ooh. Okay, yeah, just making
I
sure
never
everybody getting
advertised this
this.
on Facebook. I put my team on it, but I never personally advertise it. And we're getting ready to get started. Like, it's that time. I'm going to send this out. And because you reminded me, and I'm not even signed in. And then I'm going to get started because it's 9 o'clock. And what is that? Like 2 o'clock in the morning there?
1 o'clock, my friend, close.
Yeah, it's late for you. I never do this. Let's put this right here, as they say. Oh boy. And paste the link. It didn't copy the link. And now I'm running late getting started. Don't like that it is 9 o'clock. Let's go.
2 more minutes.
Well, oh, I see. Ah, so I'm not late. I made it. I'm in the nick of time. So I know you probably have your feelings on what I was saying. So, as a MAGA supporter, and we're not really ready to go in yet, we got 2 minutes. What do you feel about small time podcasters like me and the possibility of it being dangerous for me to have the conversations I'm having from the standpoint that I'm having it in?
I believe nothing because that happened under the previous administration during the Dr. Fauci ouchie censorship and Facebook fact checkers, if you recall. And Elon Musk, during this administration, who joined at the beginning, he said he wasn't with that. And you can go F yourself if you tell him what to do on his X space, which we can talk about. So that censorship, we don't have to worry about in this administration. Think about it.
Well, if I think about it, he also threatened to deport Elon Musk. He's fired. He's had people
Now they're
fired that
friends
spoke
again.
against him.
And they're friends again. So he
You
called
know,
Don King a con man, and then next thing you know, he's giving Don King an award. So that's just Trump being Trump.
so
All talk.
I don't know what you're talking about. So you found officially that they are reconciled?
Looks that way behind the scenes. I can't say officially, but that's what I'm seeing from the optics. They're cool again. On again, off again relationship. Unlike the previous administration that would have you banned, shadow banned from your social media if you put a question mark behind the cure all for that pandemic.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Think Tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased, logical conclusions. Please remember that this is for educational, entertainment purposes only. We're going to have a discussion across the aisle from a Democratic standpoint and Republican standpoint, left and right, red and blue, however you would like to phrase it, in order to try and come up with solutions that are more middle ground than the bickering that's happening where nothing is getting accomplished. I got some good news for the red team, as it were, later this week, as I spoke to somebody who has quite a bit of insight on how ICE is operating, especially in the Bronx, New York. So,
Ooh.
but that's going to be an interview later this week. I'm Leonard Sanderson. I'm your host, and I'm here with Dion Powell. You want to introduce yourself as so we can get started trying to discuss what's going on?
Yes, I'm 78 similar leader, district leader Dion Powell from the Bronx Inserted Party. My credentials are that have a master's in public administration and a bachelor's in communication media. So that makes me a product of my environment, which is student government. Shout out to them, policies and procedures. And I was a staffer for the New York State Assembly. So I have a nice opinion. I've worked for Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, and all that. Back to you.
Wow. Well, I'm speaking with an expert in the political field. So let's get started. Um, Qualifier, disclaimer. Um, Dion is a local politician. He doesn't specialize in global economics. He doesn't geopolitical standings. That's not his specialty. But as a MAGA conservative, his opinion weighs heavily. I take heavily because he represents what the MAGA party feels. He has his finger on the pulse, as it were. So let's get started. So Trump set up to meet with Putin in Alaska.
Pretty
Originally,
smart.
Zelensky. Why is that smart?
Well, if you remember Sarah Palin when she was VP, you could see Russia from Alaska if you think about it. So it's a nice neutral ground, kind of sort of from the American side. Maybe next time he'll meet Putin, meet Trump on the Russia side, looking over at Alaska. Could bridge the gap literally. Remember the Bering Strait from high school? So ironic.
So I have a question. Why would he have a meeting with Zelensky without Zelensky while Putin is saying the only way they'll at first they lied. At first they was like, well, they gave a bad translation. The translation from what the reports say, I don't speak Russian, so I can only go by what the reports say. So from what the report said, originally the translation was Putin was willing to from a the translator was a Putin right hand, not an American man. He was a Putin person. He was represented Russia. And the original banter was it was going to make things right and it was going to be all peace talks. Then people started saying, nah, that's not what he said. That actually speak Russian. And then there was an apology by the Trump administration. And what was actually said was Putin wouldn't meet unless Zelensky was willing to give up large swaths of Ukraine that he was not able to get his hands on otherwise because it was too heavily fortified. So the only way he would meet with Trump is if Zelensky was willing to give up land that he didn't have to give up if he didn't meet. And then Zelensky wasn't invited. And all of this while the Russia hoax. Oh, I done knocked my light down. Woo, got me all into it. While the Russia hoax was going on. What do you feel?
Yes, remember Robert Mueller? Robert Mueller from the Mueller report, when Trump first got elected in 2016, he's like, yeah, Russia is probably the one that made him win. And it freaking had election interference throughout the wazoo. Turned out to be one big lie and wasted American taxpayers' dollars for an investigation. That's what Rush means. In the meantime, Trump,
Whoa. Let me address that. Didn't the Mueller report confirm there was indeed election interference? I can't do
maybe,
the
but the
Spock
point,
eyebrow.
maybe, but the point is, did Donald Trump tell Putin to do it? Did they coordinate? Were they in cahoots?
Did he
The answer
tell
is
him on
no.
live TV, get Hillary Clinton's emails? Did he tell him yes? On live TV.
They impeached the man and they found nothing.
You
So,
asked the question. The answer is yes on live TV in front of the world, in front of everybody in America. He told, he asked them to get Hillary Clinton's emails in front of the world. He asked them to interfere. Yes, he did. This is not conspiracy theory. That's what happened. You saw it. I saw it. Everybody saw it.
well, that's not true at all. So, we
What's not
disagree
true?
that Russia and Donald Trump colluded in 2016 for him to win. That is not true at all.
So he didn't go on live TV and answer the emails, which he then got from Russia. That didn't happen.
We're talking about two different things. Hillary Clinton's emails were a subject of contention. What I think was the uh that war situation in South America. I can't think of it. Hillary Clinton was behind it all. The she was using a private server for governmental activities for emails. That's why Trump wanted to see her emails because she has so many secrets there that she was in violation. And some people call it treasonous and also a warmongering activity. You know what I mean?
That appears to have all happened. There can be no contention about that. From where I sit, it looks like she's guilty. But again, I'm not an expert. So it did seem, however, that there was interference from Putin based on the Mueller report and beyond, as it were in the industry.
But the
That
point is that Russia and Donald Trump colluded to make it happen. If you look at Trump's reaction when he won, that's literally impossible. The man had nothing to do with it. So, and guess what? We interview other countries' elections all the time. So,
so you're okaying it. Let me ask a question. So last week, Trump was posturing by sending nuclear armed submarines toward Russia based on the rhetoric that Russia's wow, Putin, Vladimir Putin was saying. This week they're meeting on American soil to discuss Ukraine's surrender of territory that Zelensky eventually wound up being invited to because there was so much noise about him meeting with Putin that he had to do something. It was just too. It was just too crazy. It got to be too crazy. Why was Zelensky not invited at first? And in your opinion, is that the reason that Zelensky was eventually invited? I mean, what is your opinion on what made Trump say, "Nah, he can come"?
again, like I said several episodes before this, Trump doesn't have much military experience politically. Politics he play at, but military stuff he's not really good at. And his handlers and advisors, eh. So he's just, I think, trying to figure it out as he goes along with the media because he doesn't play the media as a war machine. So that's what's going on. But him and Putin were cool the first 4 years. He's trying to patch things up with Putin because he knows that if you calm Putin down, it's all be going away. But we still have to, for some reason, enable Zelensky with weaponry and money, unfortunately.
So you're okay with telling a sovereign country that they have to surrender multiple territories and the United States backing
Yes.
Russia to attain these territories?
Well, yes, because it's better to have conversations than all out war.
When the president of a sovereign nation isn't present, there's not conversations. It's
Backroom deal?
I, I, you can't call it a backroom deal if it's publicize to the world that that's what's happening. It's insane. It's insanity. That's what it is.
I love it. Get rid of little Zelensky and let's just go back to having a peaceful globe with Russia not always having to be our enemy. How about that?
Well, if
Let
Russia
let Russia
wasn't,
join NATO.
I believe the problem is Russia initiating an attack on a sovereign nation. Again,
There's more nuance than that.
I would love for you to explain the nuance because I can only see what's right in my face and obvious, and they got attacked.
You mean what you're spoon fed by the media? Of course. Now,
Okay, would
again,
you like to give an alternate explanation?
listen, we all know what NATO was designed for if you went to school. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization against the USSR. The USSR no longer exists. The Soviet Union, Russia. There's no more communist threat over there. Just let Russia join and everybody be cool, but they can't have that.
But that's not
Russia
what's
has to be our
happening.
enemy at all times. Putin's back. I'm giving you why the escalation happened between Russia and Ukraine. Keep in mind that Eastern Ukraine speaks what? Russian. So let them have each other.
You are aware that Putin has said multiple times, more and more, that his ultimate goal is to take all of Ukraine, and this was started off as a military operation, was actually a guise to take Ukraine, and he's admitted that multiple times, right? In English,
Well, even
the
if
man
that's
speaks good English.
true, even but guess what? Even if that's true, got nothing to do with America. Let the countries over there, Germany, France, Albania, let them deal with it, and we'll just chill over here and watch. Okay? Hey, that's what the United Nations is for. Go over there and do something about it. Leave us out of it.
That's very short-sighted. That's what the United States did with Germany, and we saw how that ended up. So I can't agree with that. That's not logical. And you're paused. Yeah,
No, no,
well,
I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
yeah, you're frozen, but it's all right. We'll keep going. So we touched on, or I touched on before this
No, no,
began, the
no. You
Department of
can't hear me,
Justice.
see me?
You're frozen. You're moving now. You're good to go.
Okay,
So
yeah.
the Department of Justice is targeting the Attorney General of the United States of New York City. I apologize, Letitia of New York, Letitia James, allegedly supporting Donald Trump in civil rights violation claims against. Hmm, ooh, letting the AI clean up my stuff for me is I didn't see that it was that bad. So Letitia James has been targeted by the Department of Justice. Basically, they're claiming that she was harassing Trump with, prosecuting him for fraud. If he's convicted, how does he then turn around and go after the prosecution attorney? What world outside of an authoritarian regime does that make sense? And we're frozen again. This is not good. I'm glad this is the last week of this because this is bad. I
Hello,
feel
hello,
like
hello.
you're back.
Okay, good. So your
So
question
what
is, how is he being?
what world outside of an authoritarian regime does it make sense for the president to go after a prosecuting attorney that that got him convicted? Where obviously what he did was wrong, what she did was right because she won the case. What world outside of an authoritarian regime do you then go after the person doing their job? Oh man, this freeze is killing me. Oh man, your internet's in and out. Gone. I'm glad you're gonna be coming home. Sips on tea because
Excessive force. She tried to
you're in and out. Oh, this is. All right, you're back. What were you saying? You got to repeat everything.
I'm sorry. I'm saying that I think it's the 10th Amendment that goes against
And you're gone. This is. So you said the
cruel
10th
and
Amendment.
excessive
Why?
force. So charge the man $1 billion. Let's
Oh man. All right. I'm not hearing you. We're losing you. This is a
Can
complicated
you hear me now?
episode. Yeah, you're there now. Would you mind one more again?
Let's see. Excessive force. Let's see. Excessive force. Let's see. I think it's the 10th Amendment or it's the fifth. Let's see.
Oh, you're Googling it.
Yes, I gotta see what amendment this is. The Fourth Amendment. I'm sorry, the Fourth Amendment.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just share
Yes,
it and get this over. No,
basically
no, no, no. You don't share it. We don't need you getting take drawing any
the Fourth
more.
Amendment. The Fourth Amendment. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'll try and get this shared. We don't need you drawing any more from your computer. The excessive force amendment generally refers to the application of the Fourth Amendment to claims of excessive force by law enforcement. Specifically, the Fourth Amendment protects individuals from unreasonable seizures and searches, like ICE, which includes the use of excessive force during arrests or other seizures. This protection is enforced through the objective reasonableness standard, which requires courts to consider whether a reasonable officer in the same situation would have used the force applied. So it's more like for, you know, what ICE is doing, officers. The Fourth Amendment of the
Actually,
Constitution prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures, which includes the use of excessive force by law enforcement. Consequences of excessive force. Let's just get to the nuts and bolts of this. If excessive force is found to have been used, the individual may have a claim under 42 USC 1983, which allows individuals to sue the government officials for civil rights violations. Additionally, the officer could face criminal charges depending on the circumstances. So, although I understand your standpoint, it doesn't appear that that stands. That doesn't seem
well, the thing
correct.
is, the reason that he's arguing is because remember, she went after him because she's saying that he committed fraud, trying to evade paying uh trying to get favorable loans from banks for his real estate deals. The banks were happy with Donald Trump. There was no fraud there. They were happy with the deal he
That's
made.
not how that
Letitia
works at all.
James
What the
said
hell are you
no.
talking about? That's
Donald Trump,
crazy. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about why Tish James. I'm talking about why Tish James that they're going after her, which is for civil rights. His civil rights were infringed upon because she tried to impose a penalty on him that was too excessive. Understand? She said herself, because the man is a billionaire, he can pay $1 billion fine. And every time she sees a bill with the name Trump on it, her mouth waters. That's paraphrasing, actually. So I just want to put that out there for the YouTube people. So that is cruel and unusual punishment. Get it? She had a sadistic hard on for Donald Trump, like so many other of these freaking justices and court officers and officers of the court and blah, 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 blah. Trump the range. Lawfare. Remember that?
Okay, so I'm not a legal expert, but I don't think that's how fraud works. I don't think the
Excessive
bank,
force.
well, when you have 34 counts of
That has nothing
fraud,
to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. We're
the
talking about the
amount,
man's civil
the amount,
rights.
the amount of times the amount of felonies he was convicted of,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter that he got convicted of fraud 34 times. Felony,
That had
let
nothing to do with
me,
this court case. That had nothing to do with this court. That's Alvin Fatboy Bragg, the district attorney of Manhattan. That's his job. New York County district attorney. That has nothing to do with Tish James, the attorney general of New York State.
so then what is she being harassed for? Because that's what they're claiming.
Right, because again, she went after him for some real estate deals, saying that hey, he committed fraud because he doesn't want to pay certain. He altered his real estate deal. That's saying Leo. Leo owns a condo, right? And Leo prices his condo at a price that he feels as though, yeah, I can make some money off this deal for my condo. The bank said, all right, Leo's money's good, his credit's good with us, we're good, fine. Tish James, who says no, Leo lied about his evaluation of his property and we want to taste the actions of New York State. So he lied to us some of his money. Oh wow, Leo has 600 G's in his bank account. We want half of that. That's a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. And she went too far. Excuse me, banks, did Leo commit fraud against you? No, what happened
Ah,
with the business deal? Excuse me, the real estate brokers, did Leo commit fraud against you? Nah, what happened with the deal? Leo ain't doing business with Leo. Tish James is like, nah. So again, it's under appeal. Understand? That's
okay.
his civil rights. Just because he's a billionaire doesn't mean you can fine him $1 billion.
So the way I understand fraud would probably get at least a year in jail minimal. The way I understand the crimes that he committed. So I'm not an expert, but I am looking to invest in real estate. So I've been studying it because I don't want to make the same mistakes. And you're not allowed to lie about what your property is worth to get a favorable interest rate or to get to be able to attain favorability
That's why
from.
you have an independent appraiser, Leo. The banks had their own appraisers, and they made halfway. The banks were happy. Trump was happy. They liked doing business with Trump. The real estate deal went through. They were happy. But Tish James said no, because of Trump's numbers, we believe we were committing fraud against New York State because we want to taste the tax action of the real estate deal. So remember, this is all politically motivated.
Well, the way it works is if he lies about how much those properties are worth and it falls through, right? Because if and I don't know, God forbid something happens and Trump has a deal that blows and you know declares bankruptcy, God forbid something like that could possibly happen. Gee, I wonder. Then what happens is the people that have their money in the banks can be the ones that suffer because FDIC only covers up to a certain amount. If the bank faces um closing because or is damaged to the point to pass a point where they wind up having to close, the people that are members of that bank can lose their money except for what's covered by FDIC. And I that's actually from what I understand, that's bad on the banks. It's bad for the banks. It's bad for the people that have money in the banks that gave him those loans under fraudulent accounting. Like it's just fraudulent accounting. And it is illegal to do that. You can't lie about how much your stuff is worth. But
Sure, you can, Leo. Guess what? If Donald Trump has a painting and says, "Hey, I priced this painting at $1 million," appraiser comes in and say, "You know what? This painting is only worth $800,000. That's what we're going to say. The bank comes in and says, hey, we're going to side with their appraiser, says Trump. We're going to give you 800,000 for this. Fine. Leo has a car. We're actually 2024 whip. Runs up to a certain amount of miles on it. Oh, Dion paid 100 grand for this. Okay, next year. How much you selling it for, Leo? For you, Dion, I'm selling it for 90 grand. But Leo, look at all these miles. Let's go to an independent appraiser at this mechanic over here and see what the real price of this damn thing is. That's the back and forth negotiation. Lying has nothing to do with it, unless it's egregious.
I believe that the point was it was egregious. But I digress. It's not legal. It's not harassment to go after somebody committing fraud for committing fraud. That's not harassment.
It is harassment, Leo, when you as a public figure make statements like every time I see Trump's name on a building, my drawers get soaking wet. I want to get him. That's blatant. To run on, I'm going to get Trump, elect me. That's blatant. That's why no one's above the law now that he won. Isn't that great? Why can we say that?
Isn't Ghislaine
Let's talk
Maxwell
about how
above the
dealings in
law?
Virginia.
Ghislaine Maxwell seems to be above the law. Anyway, I don't want to segue. Let's move forward. So it appears that the right wing is beginning to shift on the Israel subject. It appears
Yes.
that, oh, yeah, well, you're America first. Would you like to explain to the audience real quick what that means?
America first means that we're putting our country's priorities above all else. All foreign interests. We're putting it above all immigration priorities, people coming here legally, illegally. We make sure our veterans are secure, our native citizens are secure, our Native Americans, African American descendants of slavery are secure. People go to school, everything's fixed. We have to take care of ourselves. We'll make sure other countries buy from us, not us buy from them. That's putting America first. Now, with Israel, it seems as though some people in this country believe Israel's at first, and we have to support them no matter what. And that's the problem.
Well, it appears that many of your contemporaries in the MAGA movement are feeling similar about the issue. There's really not much more to say about that. It does appear that everybody on both sides agree that what's happening with Israel is too much. There's common ground. It's common ground. There's nothing else to say about it. Let's move forward. So, well, I'll say one thing, including your MAGA strong person, female that comes to mind when you think MAGA is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I believe you've given her initials as MJT. Even she started to break on the Israel debacle. And I'm going to use that to segue to the next thing. She feels even more strongly, for some reason, that the party being and created and led by a man that feels it's okay because he has money to just put his mouth on another woman's, to grab them by their private areas, to be best friends with the likes of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. She's surprised that this party doesn't appear to be for women. And now I think I've covered that the Voting Rights Act is being attacked, but that's not the 19th Amendment. Now, so the Voters' Rights Act protected blacks, and that's being attacked in court. Now, this rhetoric amongst MAGA to attack women's right to vote, which is the 19th Amendment, I believe. As a MAGA person, you don't seem to feel anything, a black MAGA person, you don't seem to feel anything about the fact that they're trying to take away black people's rights to vote. How do you feel about women's rights to vote?
This is all trolling and a distraction. I hope they do, because if they do, then you could say, I told you so. Donald Trump's evil, authoritarian, whatever big vocabulary word you need to say. But this is all trolling to keep people all excited and keep this Trump derangement going.
Well, that seems interesting.
Hmm.
Let's see what Gemini has to say about it. Gemini, on you. While the 19th Amendment
Please,
is a
Max.
cornerstone of
Thank you.
American democracy, some recent actions and rhetoric associated with the MAGA
Please
movement,
maximize.
it's not, oh, I thought it was maximized. My apologies.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. While the 19th Amendment, let's highlight so you can see what I'm reading, is a cornerstone of American democracy, some recent actions and rhetoric associated with the MAGA movement have raised concerns about potential impact on women's voting rights. For instance, a proposed bill in the U.S. House, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, which aims to require proof of citizenship for voter registration, has been criticized for potentially making it harder for women, particularly those who have changed their names, to vote. In other words, married women. The Democratic Women's Caucus has expressed concern that such measures could disenfranchise millions of women voters. Arguments for the SAVE Act, including those made by former President Donald Trump, oh, this is the past, so that doesn't count. Well, is there anything that you want to continue reading, or we can get back to this?
The Supreme Court is going to strike it down, just like when he wanted to revoke citizenship by birth. So,
The point is how Marjorie Taylor Greene did not see that this party, the fact that the party's even having this discussion should be super alarming. Because they're doing that to women. What you think they're going to do to black folk? Do you still feel that, oh, yeah, to you, that's crazy? I'm lost on that. I'm listening.
well, I'm so scared, Leo. You guys have been, people have been crying wolf for decades now. Black people like me, not working because we have some legal country and you give
Uh,
skin over our eyes doesn't work.
it- well, I mean, it's not just me trying to be scary. I mean, it's not me trying to scare people. I would go as far as to say it's the exact opposite. I would say it's your party trying to scare people. Hold on. Let's see what Gemini says. I really haven't read it. Let's take a look at Gemini. Gemini,
Yeah, it's
it's on you,
starting to
baby.
rain here. That's why it's getting a little internet wonky.
All right. Well, the membership between the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the MAGA movement and the Republican Party it has largely taken over, thank you, is complex and often viewed through opposing lenses. Okay, the Voting Rights Act is a federal law banning discriminatory practices like literacy tests and poll taxes, which were used to disenfranchise black voters, particularly in the South. It also establishes pre-clearance requirements for jurisdictions with history of discrimination voting practices, meaning they need federal approval before voting elections. The VRA successfully reauthorized multiple times with bipartisan support, most recently in 2006. Criticism of the MAGA movement and some Republicans argue that their action, and some Republicans argue that their actions, such as challenging the 2020 election results and supporting restrictive voting laws, are undermining the principles and protections of the VRA. Some connect the movement to efforts aimed at limiting voter access, especially for minority voters, viewing this as a strategy to gain political advantage, which has been proven in Texas, is now being done in Minnesota by J.D. Vance. The argument is that the VRA's core purpose of ensuring equal access to the ballot is under threat from these actions. And for the record, there's literally a lawsuit right now against the Voters' Rights Act. There's a lawsuit against it. And they're saying, oh, well, it's racist to white people as is prerequisite for that lawsuit. It is happening. They're trying to strike down VRA. There's no question about that. It is happening right now. Just like affirmative action, DEI, VRA is on the table now. You're shaking your head no.
Yeah, because the
What?
world's going to keep turning and the sun's still going to keep coming out. But once again, he's putting Americans first and making sure no illegals can vote at all. How about that for some voting rights?
Well, when you're attacking the voting rights of blacks, foundational blacks, Native Americans, if you would, for some of us, and obviously women's rights, it seems like he only wants white men to vote. Now, this is happening in real time in front of us, but I do believe that we've had this conversation for the last 5 months when I told you this was going to happen. For 5 months, I told you. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, yo, wait a minute. Maybe something's wrong.
Well, that's
But you
why it's
still
a
don't see it.
bipartisan issue. Israel and immigration and the war in Ukraine. These are three things that are really pulling the Republican right side, conservative side, libertarian middle apart. So, and on top of that, Epstein. So these are the issues that are really causing strife internally. Other than that, Donald Trump and the Republican Party still have more leadership skills and confidence than the other team. So
Actually, that you know that's not correct. You know that actually the Democrats are rated higher than him right now. We've had that discussion as well, right?
I don't know.
I'm not going to go through this. We've gone through this twice this week. Okay. The FBI is targeting Texas politicians in Illinois. It says multiple arrests reported. I didn't see that.
Me neither. The
So,
point is that this is the first, this is, well, I should say that, but this is the incidence of why you need a whip, like majority whip, minority whip, to keep your party members locked in a room to vote. Because if you break quorum, you can't conduct business for a parliamentary procedure.
but breaking
So,
quorum has been conducted since Abraham Lincoln,
yes, but this is politically
and he
motivated.
broke quorum when he was a senator. Is that correct?
I don't know the historical context, but it's a possibility. Long story short, the Democrats have nothing. They can't persuade Republicans to vote their way. Since they can't have their way, they're just going to make sure business can't be conducted. And we're not going to make sure crime happens. So,
So, what is
stalemate.
voting their way? What does that entail in this particular case?
In this particular case, you're supposed to have a consensus about the census at which you and your colleagues have certain amendments, come to certain understandings and agreement, concessions to actually get things done. But it seems though the Democrat supermajority, like California, New York, muscles this bills through in laws, and Republicans don't have a say.
I don't have a
Texas
pen.
feels as
Oh,
though it does the same.
okay, so let's have this discussion. Let's talk about what they're voting on. So we were talking about the fact they're trying to restrict the black vote. What they're actually voting on for is something called gerrymandering. Trump gave a call to Texas. Literally he called Mr. Abbott, the governor. Buy me 5 seats. What did he mean? What he meant was this is an area that represents a part of Texas. Now, the B stands for black, the W stands for white. So in this part of Texas, you got some black votes and some white votes. What he meant by finding him votes is dividing the white area up as such so that you get more votes, you get more representation in the same area. So he literally called up the mayor of Texas, the governor of Texas, and said, divide it up so that them 10 white people that got 1 vote now get 4 votes. That's not literal, but that's basically what gerrymandering is. And that is what they're fighting right now. That is what they want. They want to bring back those Democrats so they can divide that area up. That is the entire reason for breaking quorum, because they don't want gerrymandering to happen, making the black vote worthless. Because when it was like this, because the territory was already gerrymandered to just create more white votes, that is more MAGA votes, because it's not even about black and white, it's more MAGA votes. And that's what they're supposed to be voting on. And they broke quorum to avoid, just since Trump's doing so terribly and he can't win, and the MAGA party's losing so badly that he needs to cheat to win now, and they're trying to stop him from cheating. And so they
Wow,
broke quorum.
Leo,
They would.
you're so wrong. I don't know where to begin. Let's start by saying this. Trump is a winner because he won the Electoral College and the popular vote. And on top of that, he won, or they won, the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives. So when we talk about losing, I'm not sure what you're talking about. But in the same token, we're talking about representation. Take Massachusetts, for example, has 30+% Republican, zero representatives in Congress. How's that possible? We have millions of Republicans in a certain state. So Texas is the same thing. They said, hey, listen, we're going to draw these lines so that way the Republicans, because we're a majority, have more votes to make Republican Congress people. No more saying, hey, we need a black congressperson, so we're going to draw the lines this way. What about the Latinos? What about the Asians? For what you're reporting on, you're just talking about black and white when it's more nuanced than that. Long story short, they want more Republican seats. They're going to redraw the lines so that way more Republican leaning voters will exist in a block. But if the Democrats doing so great, they shouldn't have to worry about that. They can say, I'm a great Democrat. I'm going to win anyway because I do my job very well. And my messaging will help convince these new people in my new district. Make sense? New York's super Democrat majority, California's super Democrat majority. They will do the same thing out of spite, but nobody's calling them gerrymandering and mad at them. Why is that?
I think what you actually mean is they won in 2024, but, and that's true. But we're talking about the upcoming election 2025, where if he thought he was going to win, he would not be asking to create more seats in MAGA areas so that he can get more votes from the same people, so that the same people's votes don't count more than one time. He is he's literally sending JD Vance to Colorado to try and get JD Vance to get more Republican seats in Colorado. They're literally just trying to create seats out of nowhere in order to hold on to power. And the reason he's doing it is because people are turning against the MAGA movement, and he's trying to just find people that are at his core. And instead of 10 people being 10 people being 5 seats, make them 10 people being 5 representatives in Congress, in particular the House of Representatives, and make each one of those 10 people now worth 10 seats. The numbers are not literal, but the concept is accurate. They want more seats for the same amount of people because they're losing so many. They're not losing Democrats. They're not even losing Republicans. Well, they're losing some Republicans. But what they're really losing is putting them in danger is the independent vote that swings an election. The independents are pissed about the one big bad bill he calls the one big beautiful bill. They're pissed that when they walk in the stores, they see the effects of tariffs. They're pissed that on and on and on. Ghislaine Maxwell being sent to Texas from Florida. They're pissed. They want to know what he's covering up. I want to know what he's. I'm tired of talking about it. The
Obviously
independents,
not.
I can't help it. He's not releasing the files. It's making me more and more curious what's going. I don't want to segue. The point is he's creating more seats. He's fighting to create more seats. If he was winning in the public, in the public, then he wouldn't have to create them seats. He would be able to win like he did in 2024 by millions of Americans and by the largest win ever in the
But
history of
Leo, keep
American
in
politics.
mind the same logic you're using, the other team uses all the time, saying, hey, we need more black representation over here. So draw the lines this way. Hey, we need more Latino representation over here. Draw the lines this way. But just make sure it's Democrat. Make sense? Happens all the time.
I see. So you're not for fighting for representation for blacks. Got it. Moving forward.
Oh God, that's
That's
so
what you just said.
bad.
That's literally what you just said. Would you like
That's
to
literally
would
what
you
I just
like
said.
to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those black people. Yeah.
That's what you just said. Would you like to try and rephrase that? Here's your
No,
opportunity.
I'm just saying that the same logic you're using is the same logic the Blue Team says. Hey, we want more black representation in Congress. So draw the lines this way after the census. We want Latino in Congress. So draw the lines this way. So make sure these votes are here and Democrat and the blue color so it's easy for us to win. That's what the blue states do all the time.
Right. Try to give blacks representation when they don't have any. God, that is so awful. What was I thinking? Oh my God, blacks
Yeah,
do
but
not deserve
objectively, it
representation.
makes sense. You're drawing the lines with the end games of creating a certain representation. The Republicans are trying to redraw the lines to make more Republicans in Congress. The Democrats draw the lines to make sure there's more diversity. That's their intent. I'm just arguing the correlation and differences between both intents of Republicans and Democrats when they draw these lines and why gerrymandering exists.
So according to Crizzy J, if MTG being concerned is an internal conflict, what does that look like? They feel lied to as far as the mega. Okay, thank you, Chrissy J. So moving forward. Riots in LA and UK. It is so bad that there are riots in UK and LA against Trump. That is how bad it is. They're rioting now. And it's probably not rioting, it's probably
So
peaceful
it's no peaceful
protests.
protest? No more peaceful protests, huh? They use
It's
the
probably
R
peaceful
word, right? Huh?
protests. Yes, because, right now, civil unrest and political fallout is what it's called. So, civil unrest, because you can't speak out against Israel. You say something against Israel, you might your country won't get aid. It is so bad right now that if you speak out against Israel, I don't know if this was here or later. If you speak out against Israel, you will not get funding if a hurricane hits your house. Because you can speak out against American. No, that's literal. That's literal. That's literal. It's he's tied it with getting financial aid relief. If your state speaks out against Israel, you do not get financial aid relief. That is what and Florida's probably not happy about it during hurricane season, but that's what he said. If you speak out against Israel, your state doesn't get relief. You can speak out against American companies, that's fine. But if you speak out against Israel, your state doesn't get relief. So yeah, people are rioting. People are upset. I can see why he might lose support. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, for me, again, Israel, we know what time it is with Israel. I feel as though riots, especially in your own backyard, aren't very productive. The mayors of those cities, probably liberal, Karen Bass, they need to get it together instead of enabling this because it's just going to chase out more small businesses and mega businesses. They're going to cry that they're racist because they left because you were hurting their bottom line. Right,
Civil
Tanya?
unrest seems to have worked in the 1960s in order to get all of the rights
It's not the
is being taken away
1960s.
from us now. Well, I am a believer in looking in your history and trying to figure out what worked and learning from your history rather than just walking into a wall because you didn't remember the wall was there. If it worked before and we had a totalitarian authoritative government like we have now against black people, then maybe we should try and fight similarly. So what do you feel about the fact that crime is down 26% in DC? The Trump
Now, what?
administration, the Trump administration is pushing for federal control, federalizing Washington because of how bad the crime is, even though the crime rate has dropped by more than a quarter of where it was last year.
Well, again, the quality of life doesn't reflect the numbers. Elon Musk's staffer, I mean, Doge staffer got beat up, just like the government wants to step in and take over Rikers Island in New York. They want to take over the projects in New York because these local municipalities can't be trusted when it comes to management, especially when it comes to public safety. And if you got people getting harassed or shot up in Times Square like right now, it's a big problem. And the federal government has to step in. Like if your child doesn't get the proper services at public school, federal government has to step in and make sure your child gets that. And you can send them to private school and get your money back.
So then why don't they step in Texas where the vast, where I believe in the last 10 years there's been more mass shootings than the rest of the country combined? Like, why don't they step in Texas where it's really needed? But
Because that's
I,
the Second Amendment, my friend. Right to bear
wait a minute,
arms.
but you just said Times Square. So Times said for one instance, or five instances in Texas, and no,
Well, the
one
thing is,
person gets
with
beat
law
up in
enforcement,
Washington, D.C., but people keep getting shot up in Texas?
okay, listen, so far, law enforcement in Texas is much different when it comes to law enforcement in DC and in New York City. Texas has open carry, whereas those other places, they don't. So that's why the definition of mass shootings and crime and public safety are much different. You understand? In
No,
my
I
opinion.
don't. You completely lost me. I'm gonna try this one more time. You ready? I'm gonna do it slower this time. One person gets beat up in Washington, D.C., and he wants to send in the feds. Multiple mass shootings in Texas, and it's fine.
Well, he can also send the military. Remember in LA, if he feels as though it's severe. So yes, the president can have that prerogative to pick and choose.
Sounds like it's a political takeover. Sounds like federalization. It sounds authoritarian.
To you
That's
and so many others like you, but yes, everybody else doesn't care.
they don't care that that Trump is trying to take over the country. I guess that's a proven fact.
They're not scared.
Now, I guess some people don't care if Trump's taking over the country. They don't understand what's happening to their finances. They're starting to care about them.
You see, that's where you go wrong. These people, they don't understand what's going on. They need to be educated about how evil Donald Trump is. But
Not at
that's not
all.
working.
Not at all. When they go to the grocery stores and see them bills, they care about that. That's
Yeah,
what people
yeah. When you
care
go to the
about.
grocery store, it's been 6 months already, and you scared yet, people? You angry with Trump yet?
I believe the answer is starting to be yes. That's right. You haven't gotten back to America yet.
We'll see. 2026, November.
Victims are speaking out in the Epstein case. There's renewed testimonies emerging. More truth is coming out and rehashing old headlines. So the victims are talking. They're like, release the files. They're trying to sue to release the files. They want this over with. J.D. Vance's White House meeting on Epstein's private meeting reportedly held at his home, then the White House. Oh, so J.D. Vance was supposed to have a meeting in his house reportedly. And then it was like, no, no, we're having, there's no meeting, there's no meeting, there's no meeting. They had it at the White House. And that's been reported and leaked. Why are they having meetings about covering this thing up rather than just releasing the files?
Again, Leo, there are names in the files of people who are probably completely innocent other than just showing up at a party. Let's say you are Denzel Washington, and everybody loves Denzel Washington, right? He could do no wrong. But he got invited to a party on Jeffrey's Island. He was there with his wife. They took pictures, and that was it. Now I'm going to read the files. Oh, wow, look, Denzel Washington's name's in here. He must did something wrong. He must be a pedophile. So, I mean, that P word, I'm sorry, and that would be wrong. So they're taking the time with this, dragging their feet. People upset, right? Even on this side, bring MAGA hats, but that's the way that the administration is explaining it, to my understanding.
That's a really great understanding. But you mean to tell me when they was calling for these files to be released for the last 5 years, and now that the Democrats and some Republicans are fighting to have the files released, they didn't see that as being a problem then? It's not till it was time to release the files and was looking like, you know, Trump might be all over it. That's when it's a problem.
But guess what? Maxwell said herself, Trump's did nothing wrong. Did you see that interview? Did you listen to the audio? Trump had nothing to do with this. Is that interesting? How you left that out?
Right. So let's visit that. Let's visit that. So Trump sends his personal attorney, who used to represent him, who lost 34 counts against him, and to a meeting with someone who's already refused to testify in front of a court of law. They give her clemency for the day, where whatever she says doesn't count. And she says Trump didn't do anything wrong, and suddenly she's released from a maximum security prison and put into a camp in a place where people that have committed the kinds of crimes she committed, is never supposed to be.
White
So
collar
she
crime, my
says
friend.
with
White collar crime.
white collar crime,
Bernie
she was
Madoff. Bernie
teaching
Madoff.
14-year-old girls, she was teaching 14-year-old girls how to get fellatio while she was touching their breasts.
Don't need to get so
That's what she's
graphic.
guilty of. That is what she is convicted of. This isn't allegedly. This is what she did. And she refused to testify on her own behalf at her trial. Now, at this point, Trump sends in his go-to guy who can't get it done because he's got 34 counts. Todd Blanche, second in charge of the. Nobody at that level goes to speak to criminals. Like, that's just not what his job is. He sends people in. But apparently, he wanted to have a meeting that the people at the Department of Justice wasn't supposed to hear. Everyone knew that he was going to come out of there and say Ghislaine didn't said that Trump was innocent, and maybe give some Democrats up. We all knew this. If you didn't know that, then you didn't know. I don't know what to say to that. You wasn't paying attention, because we said it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Every news outlet said it. We all knew what was going to happen. It was like plain as day. It was like, I'm wearing a blue shirt. He likes the color blue. Like, it was so clear. It was like you set the opacity to zero. Like, you could see right through this. It was coming. That 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 didn't mean anything to anybody with any sense at all. We knew what she was going to say, because she wants a pardon, or she wants a reduced sentence. This was not rocket science. And you wish to argue this. Oh my gosh. I am loving this.
Yeah,
Go
because
ahead.
if she would have said Trump did all these wonderful things, everybody was so happy. Seeing as though she did, obviously Donald Trump's behind it, and he's gonna pardon everybody. So when people don't get the answers they want, that's when they get upset on both sides. So obviously Donald Trump's got to her already. Isn't that interesting?
No, we knew when Todd Blanche. Listen, she was subpoenaed by Congress, right? 2 days later, Todd Blanche goes to visit her. I wonder why he went. Maybe because she was subpoenaed by Congress. And that's common sense. This is not debatable. I mean, you could debate it, but yo, she's been called on to go talk about what happened. His personal attorney goes in. Suddenly now she's not talking about what happened, and she's moved to a sweetheart prison, all within a week. Now she's like, "Oh, y'all, I'm not coming to talk." She said, "I'm not coming to talk unless y'all give me impunity for anything I say. Y'all cannot convict me for anything I say, or I'm not coming." For the record, no criminal can do that. But that's what she told Congress. She wanted what? Yo, you're a convicted felon. You're a convict. We know, and on top of that, we know she's a liar because they brought her up on the charges for it already. We know she's a liar. We know you can't trust a word that comes out of her mouth. She's proven that in court already. So why should we take her word for it now? Why is it that Donald Trump fired the attorney that was in charge of handling her case, and instead of sending Maureen Comey in, sent in Todd Blanche, fired her, and then sent in his private attorney? Come on. This is not even a good cover up. This is horrific. This is transparent cover up. We can see right through this. He fired the attorney that was responsible for handling the case, Maureen Comey, and then sent in Todd Blanche, who does not have a nickel and a dime, is not supposed to go, who knew nothing about the case. So because he knew nothing about the case, wouldn't know if she was lying anyway. And she's already been charged for perjury. So we know she's a liar. This is what happened in that case so far. That's where we stand. That's why people are
Well,
still
we have
talking
to
about it.
wait and watch, my friend. In the meantime, all this excitement keeps more eyeballs and the ratings up. So we have to keep talking about Epstein.
We have to keep talking about Epstein because Donald Trump is hiding something. We want to know what he's hiding. We're going to find
Someone's
out.
up to something. That's why we gotta get Trump. Keep watching them. Keep watching them. Gonna catch him eventually, right?
He's obviously guilty. Moving on to the so watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. You ready? What other reason in the world, what excuse can you come up with that after she had the interview with Todd Blanche, they, for the first time in history, put a convicted sex felon in a prison where she didn't belong? They had to make special arrangements and write different laws in order to move her there. Why did they do? Why would they move her? What did she give up that as a deal, as a bargain, to be moved to a minimum security prison? What could she possibly have given up?
Well, again, the mysterious circumstances of Jeffrey Epstein's self-deletion. Remember, she's a person of interest. So she's going to be allowed certain considerations because she has access and knows where the bodies are buried, as we say in politics. So Trump, again, is playing a game, but he doesn't have much experience when it comes to the actual cover-up. So there's going to be a lot of sloppiness, fine. But long story short, people want him to release the files. It's hurting the MAGA base, the American First base, Conference of President, and it's putting the pressure on the conservative Republican electorates locally.
Well, thank you, CJ. So he is definitely a PDF file. Well, that's what it looks like. He's covering up for PDF files. He said, so she hung out with PDF files at the time of doing it. It appears he's covering up. As you just said, he's sloppily covering up.
If
That was
that's the
your
case,
words.
yes.
Well, moving forward, economy and jobs. Trump has come out with new numbers. The economy's fixed, ladies and gentlemen. He turned things around a week after firing Erica McIntyre. A week after firing her, he came out with new numbers and the economy's doing great. So what do you think is really happening?
I think firing her was a good thing. Whoever you got to replace her and put out the real report, fine, but doesn't have much confidence in these systems. And the economy again. I don't see people on super lines around the corner. I mean, in liberal progressive cities, yes, but it has nothing to do with what Trump was doing. That was already happening in the first place. The tariff war is going in our favor, and that's about it.
Do I have to explain how tariffs work yet again?
Please
For our
don't.
listeners who don't know, let's
We broke
real
our first
quick.
hour.
That's all right. We're more than halfway through this, and the big stuff is already done. So we're going to be done soon. But we are going to go through this. Tariffs are a form of tax governments impose on goods imported from other countries. They are paid by the importing company, the company within the country, usually a domestic company, to the customs authority. So once the goods come into the country, the people bringing the goods in pay, not the country that you're getting it from. You can't make their laws. The company that brings the goods in pays the tariffs. And what does that do? When a tariff is imposed, it increases the cost of the imported product. Prices go up. Companies importing goods often pass these increased costs on the consumers in the form of higher prices. So the company bringing the stuff in pays higher prices, and they charge the people buying, so prices go up. This makes imported goods relatively more expensive compared to domestically imported goods, which, if he wants things to be manufactured in America, you put a tariff on it, people stop buying stuff from outside the country, they buy inside the country. That makes perfect sense. That is logical. That is something Donald Trump might have right.
Thank
But,
you.
but to say the prices are not going up simultaneously, then why are people going to stop buying them? You can't have it both ways.
I'm saying whatever's going on, that it doesn't have the people outraged the way you guys need them to be. So some people have said we're willing to take the L as long as America's put first and we come out the winner, especially against China. China.
Uh, okay, fair enough. You seem to be a Chinese fan. All right. Well, I'm going to skip the Trump prices falling part because that's just silly. And, as amusing as it would be to go into that, I'll just skip and go right into the more amusing part and get you there faster because, you know, you want to get out of here and there's no reason to continue to play around with it. So, ready, ladies and gentlemen? This one's good. This is actually what Trump said. I can't believe, the stuff he comes out his mouth with. Trump has insinuated that he's saving the price on drugs and that costs will be cut by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400%. He's previously said that he's cutting it 150%. What is your take on these cuts that Trump has promised on price of drugs?
Well, it's politically motivated. And then just like Kennedy, another person from the administration, they're trying to adjust big pharma and make sure Americans have true access to health insurance, not stay well insurance. You understand? So Trump, again, with the pharmaceutical companies and everything else, with a purpose, he's trying to put America first. Understand? And these prices, he plays with numbers, if you want to call it that, but still, the United States, to my understanding, with my ear on the ground, it's not as outrageous as people need them to be with what he's doing.
If he's trying to save Americans money on that, that's a good thing. I'd be happy about it. Drug prices are too much. We pay too much for drugs. But his claims are particularly outrageous. I mean, you don't have to be a numbers person to understand basic math. 100% is a whole number. If you saved 100% on $100, then you would save $100, right? If,
Yes, I'm waiting for you to see where you're going.
if you save 1,400% on something, then they would owe you about $1,300 on that. That means they would have to pay you to get the drugs. Is that not how numbers work?
You asking me or telling me?
I'm asking.
I'm not a numbers guy or economics guy, or international guy, but yes. Again, the president with these numbers, he's just trying to let it play out and show how good it is to have what's going on in the economy that he's stimulating by, in my opinion, trolling and actually manipulating certain systems to the power of tariff. Now, if he only could get Powell, no relation, to actually, do what he has to do with the interest rates, maybe we actually see some actually good stuff coming through it. Understand?
Well, from what I understand is not being an economist, from what I understand is you lower the interest rates when prices are going when prices are going up and when jobs are being lost. If the economy is doing well, such as Trump says, why would he lower the interest rates?
I don't know at this point anymore, but yes, so far the man wants them to lower the interest rates. The guy's not doing it, but Trump is systematically plucking people around and make sure he's firing the right people to try to get things done his way.
What it looks like his way is just lying to people and putting more money in rich people's pockets because that's
Prove
what's
it.
happening. Prove it. I read the bill to you like live. I don't have to pull the bill back up, do I? We don't have to go through this,
Yes,
do
it is
we?
though.
I already showed you what
Put
tariffs are just now. I think the
put the
tariffs
bill
proved it
away.
enough. So let me ask you a question. Which way would you pay more money, right? They got tariffs on cars that are coming in. They want them built in America. But we don't build all the parts in America, right? So if you need an engine from China, if you need a transmission from Japan, if you need headlights from Korea, if you need tail lights from Australia, whatever the case may be, and you get all these parts in, they have to come in, you got to pay interest on all of the parts. You got to pay the tariffs, right? Then you get them here and you assemble a car. Did you actually save money after you had to pay tariffs on all the parts anyway?
Well, you got to consider the American labor. You got to consider how microchips and some other items, he's making sure it's 100% tariff. So we start making them here. So that's the strategy.
That was not an answer, but I guess that one's a little rough. I'm not going to force you to answer that because the answer is it's actually cheaper to buy the car. Federal court may limit tariff powers. So the courts are like, nah, the power of the purse sits with Congress, right? You're not legally able to levy taxes, Donald Trump. So now they're weighing in on stopping him from conducting the illegal activity, which is his tariff war. Are you in support of the court fighting for the legislative branch, the judicial branch fighting for the legislative branch to be able to pull in its powers to stop Donald Trump from his illegal war, which is costing Americans at the grocery store as we speak,
Well,
even though
Congress
you
has to
don't
do it
believe that it's really happening?
fine. Again, like I said, our previous episodes, Congress has to do its job. They actually try to restrain the president. Otherwise, take it to the Supreme Court if you don't like it.
Well, the federal
But
courts is actually weighing in on it now.
but remember that injunction word that Supreme Court says, hey, these lower courts, you can't
That's
tell the
not
president what to
how.
do.
That's not what an injunction is. An injunction,
Fine.
just real quick. I'm not an attorney, but when you have a nationwide injunction, what it means is if you win a lawsuit or if you win a case, then people with like cases, similar cases um cases like yours across the nation automatically get that relief. They automatically get that um they get the same benefit that you got because you won your case. Any case like it in the country is going to be treated the same way automatically. That's what a nationwide injunction is. This is not that. This is a singular case against the executive branch. So that's the difference. But again, I'm not an attorney. Sound like I studied a little bit of law, though, right? I'm studying for this. I'm learning for this. I'm actually studying for this and a couple other things. I'm learning. I'm learning because I have to, because I can't talk about it unless I do. With the disclaimer that I'm not a legal expert. So the question again, um, do you feel that the federal courts weighing in on this is a good thing? Well, it sounds like you said
Standard
yes.
procedure.
Let the courts do their job.
What?
It sounds like you said yes. Let the courts do their job.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Let this play out. And then again, kick the can down the road to the Supreme Court and see what they say.
I'm gonna skip the Keith Hegseth because that's about a week and a half old. We didn't get to it in time. Uh, he's been doing more things. I'm gonna skip that. Let's go to the right wing extremism. So, because of the propaganda spread by the executive branch in the Maha, somebody broke in the CDC and actually killed a black police officer protecting the CDC in a case that's not being talked about. This is extreme terrorism. They attacked a government facility. But Trump's quiet on that one because Maha pushed. What do you feel about that? Should they be talking about it? A government facility was attacked.
Well,
Black cop
there's
was killed.
Well, there was a Muslim cop killed in New York City. How's that sound?
And why was
Is
he
that
killed?
new? Huh?
Why was he killed?
Wasn't that like a Midtown Park Avenue shooter situation? Remember that?
Oh, you're talking about, oh yes,
The
yes,
pro-Israel Palestine situation?
they blew that up, but they don't talk about a federal building being attacked and officers in a federal building being killed by MAGA extremists, kind of like January 6th.
Here we go. Oh, January 6th. Can't forget that, can we?
No, it's the same thing. I mean, breaking into a federal building, killing cops. That's exactly the same thing.
That's not exactly the intent, but okay.
Explain the difference.
Well, January 6th had FBI people in there to, like all things, incite about the situation. One person got killed by a security guard police officer in the building. The other people had a heart attack, whatever the case may be. Not really.
After being brutally
Really.
beaten,
Huh?
after being brutally beaten, if you
Well,
listen, now again, I'm not a legal expert, but
or a doctor.
if you beat somebody up in the street and they have a heart attack afterwards, you get manslaughter charges because they died from wounds inflicted being related to that heart attack. That's how the law works, unfortunately. Well, fortunately.
Unfortunately,
Fortunately.
January 6th, their intent wasn't to go in there and kill cops. How's that
No, it was
sound?
to kill a vice president.
Oh, gosh. Well, let's just say January 6th, because of the power of the pardon, doesn't exist anymore. Isn't that great? But he is going to investigate people on the January 6th committee for, just like with Letitia James, violating civil rights and actually people's rights by doing January 6th. The whole committee was one big sham.
So free people who've attacked police and persecuted people that went after them for it. And you're good with this. This is your America.
Yes, because number one, like you said, no one's above the law. Number two, information about January 6th that they have now, they didn't have then. So the information they have now proves that the January 6th committee plus other entities politically motivated and took this event and violated a lot of people's rights and went after the president and that kind of stuff. Then yes, we have to have an updated investigation. So
Because I didn't see with my own eyes people climbing walls. People didn't get attacked and killed. That's insane. But if that's your stance on it, that's your stance on it.
God.
So there's a climate change narrative shift. Do you know that your party is now saying climate? They're no longer denying climate change. Congratulations. Are you still a climate change denier yourself?
I'm a climate change industry denier. What does that mean? Climate change is a multi-billion-dollar industry to get grant money to do nothing of substance. The science is still questionable, but people make a lot of money off recycling. Just to figure out at the end of the day, all the garbage goes to the same damn place, like it's flushed down the toilet in separate colored bags. So that's the industrial complex of environmental protection. That's why Lee
That's not true.
Zeldin, former congressperson from New York, who's now in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency, he too is cleaning house. Get it?
That's absolutely not true. It's not how that works at all. Well, your party is no longer denying climate change. They're actually saying climate change is happening. And are you ready for it? Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is good. Your party, the MAGA party, is now saying climate change is good for the environment. And that's their official stance now. Climate change is happening and it's good. How do you feel about this narrative shift?
Well, just like when you took history courses at a little grade school with the polar ice caps and the dinosaurs and the asteroid, some of these people maybe not just be flat earthers or wearing tinfoil hats, but it sounds about right what they're saying. That the Earth goes through different periods of climate change based off various factors. Motion, one of them, rotation around the sun, inner core, who knows?
While some isolated benefits like longer growing seasons in certain regions and potentially reduced winter deaths in specific areas might be associated with climate change as a good thing, These are far outweighed by the overwhelming negative consequences. Climate change is primarily causing detrimental impacts, such as extreme weather events, like it being 100 degrees for like 20 out of the 30 days in the northeastern region of America, rising sea levels, burying islands and raising up on places like Manhattan and California, disruptions to ecosystems, animals that were once here that are not going to be here as sea creatures, especially as these ecosystems change, and threats to human life and human health, excuse me, it will be life, such as, you know, living in extreme heat. It is not accurate or helpful to frame climate change as a predominantly positive phenomenon. Eh, that's according to Google, if that matters to anybody. Google Gemini's um scoured the internet, and that's what it came up with about climate change. Further building of Alligator Alcatraz is temporarily blocked, even as more prisons are being built. How do you feel about both of these things as a MAGA supporter?
Well, the prison industrial complex is still alive and well, but focused on migrants. Isn't that ironic? So yes, the president's showing peace through strength and showing the world that hey, you come into our country legally, just like did you know that abortion is illegal in Dominican Republic? Just like every country has a right to discriminate and put laws to protect its citizens, America is doing the same. So respect us, or we're gonna have to actually leave.
Emily, I'm sure hoping that we can continue to have meeting like this and change things. Thanks for joining us. It's good to see you again. Well, I think that prisons being built for immigrants, if they're illegal, is a good thing. If you want to get them out and they're illegal, I'll go for that, especially if they're violent. Absolutely. I think that keeping people in inhumane living conditions in these internment camps is against international law, I want to say 100%.
Well, just like Israel's on that list too, Gulag and all that kind of stuff. So take it up with the United Nations, see if they should have a military come in the United States and actually put sanctions on us, that United Nations, that's in New York City.
Now the real MAGA comes out. You know what? You don't like it, do something. We're going to do this. I don't care if it's inhumane, if it's evil, if I'm treating human beings like gum on stuck on the bottom of my shoe. So what? Do something. The real MAGA comes out. Sound like Trump. But that's your feeling. That's how you just came across. That's how
Okay,
you sounded
that's
to
your
me.
opinion.
Well, how did you mean it? Because that's how it was. I'll give you a chance to clean it up. Because that's how it sounded.
Well, again, sometimes we parrot what the president says, but yes, the sentiment is still there when we have our patriotism and nationalism above all. Get it? So if you came into this country legally 60 years ago and still know how to speak English and still want to burn an American flag and protest, you got to go.
I don't know what any of that means. So anyway, Trump seems to be very angered by a New York radio personality known as Charlemagne the God. He even got so upset. He got so upset that he said, "If I called myself God, everybody would have a problem with it. Why can he call himself God?" Like he's like this is the president of the United States. He's using words like BS on the radio, walking back and forth on the rooftop, screaming out the top of his lungs like a maniac, talking about putting nuclear weapons on top of the White House. So, what do you that no, this is literal. He literally he literally was walking back and forth. He had a press conference on the roof of the White House shouting about how he was going to put nuclear weapons on top. It's not in there, but it's like this is the guy we're talking about.
Well, Jimmy
So
Carter also put solar panels on the White House, and that was a nice big deal. Nice, get it?
Um, Emily, this is about power and politics. Every handshake with Putin tells a story. Wow. Christopher, thank you very much. That does appear to be the truth. And that meeting is, just so y'all know, Trump tacoed. He backed down. He's letting Zelensky come to the meeting. We don't know what that's going to look like, but Zelensky already said he's not seceding territories. He's not giving up territories that weren't that he's been able to protect this far just because Trump and Putin want him to. So that's what he said. That's paraphrasing, but that's what he said. It's been all over the news, just so you know. So his anger at Charlemagne the God is, in your opinion, something he should be paying attention to?
Don't pay attention to Charlamagne the God.
Yeah.
Well, no, we should be, but he likes to troll. He knows Hot 97. Oh, I should say that. He knows the station that Charlemagne is on, which is a black audience that is in his favor. And so Charlemagne, I believe Trump, just like all things, is trolling through his platform to get to his base of black people that support him.
Emily, we're always talking about politics here. We're talking about Trump. We're at the tail end. We only got a few minutes left. We got a couple of more topics to cover. Um, right now, I want to touch on the Sydney Sweeney thing. So Sydney Sweeney had a commercial, and people got very upset about it. Jeans commercial. Let's see if we can play that commercial for you, ladies and gentlemen, before
Oh
we.
God.
Well, why not? It's what it was. Believe it or not, has actually been a hot trending topic in America. That because all of the left people are talking about it, according to MAGA. So let's pretend like that's the case and honor what MAGA says we're talking about, because that's what we're talking about, right, MAGA? Up, I messed up. Let me do that over. It's got 16,000 comments. I forgot to turn the sound on. There we go.
Are you sharing your screen?
I
Okay.
am indeed sharing my screen. I am looking to turn the sound on here, though. Let's go.
You see what I did there, right?
All right.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very keen.
You see what I did there, right?
I don't understand
So
that one.
apparently, people are upset because this commercial said, some people might say, oh, wow, that's not bad. This is bad. Hold on a moment. Y'all don't hear that,
Well, to
right?
me, it just seems like another play on words. So we just keep moving.
Give me one moment. I have technical difficulty. Oh my gosh, how do I turn this off? Do y'all hear that?
No.
All right, let me turn this off. Sorry about that. So apparently that's what's happening. Everybody's upset because she has great genes, seems to be a double entendre, referring to the fact that, white genes are better is what the motion is supposed to be getting at. So do you think that MAG is making up this liberal uproar about these genes in order to distract from the Epstein thing? Or do you think that people should really be upset about this Epstein, about this commercial?
Just a commercial. Keep moving. Nothing to see here. If
Power
anything,
moves
Levi
in
needs
real
the money
time.
right now because we're
Absolutely.
talking about it.
Power moves in real time. That's what they're doing. Okay. Well, no, but that was a big thing this week, so we had to touch it. There's new attacks on Harvard University. Donald Trump is putting pressure on institutions by now. What is it he's doing? Because it's not in the notes. It messed my notes up. Um, what did he do? He, oh God, what did he do to Harvard this time? It wasn't. It was grants. No, he did the grants last time. He's attacking Harvard again, and it's getting worse. I believe it was it grants. Uh, let me see.
Remember, Harvard receives federal funding for higher education. And Donald Trump's like, hey, I don't want this money to go to D or I curriculum. I wanted to make sure that all the Jewish students are protected from anti-Semitic stuff. So Trump started to negotiate with these private institutions that receive public money. That's a good thing.
Patents, right? Right now, he's going after their patents, though. He's denying their patents. Things that their scientific community discover are no longer being accepted. It's crazy. It's crazy. So attacking their patents is the way to levy control over them. That's you're okay with that too?
Yes, because they receive public funding.
But that patents have nothing to do with the funding. That's just straight like going after them.
Well, I approve. And so many others.
Yes, attacking people's patents and their civil rights. Wonderful. So 60,000 miles, by the way, of Texas has already been redistricted. In case you wasn't here earlier, we'll go through this one more time. I
What?
need a writing
We already
utensil.
talking about this.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's about 1,000 more people here that didn't see it. Literally, about 1,500 more people. So I'm just gonna do this one more time really quickly for the 1,500 people that wasn't here, if you don't mind, since they were kind enough to join. Here's what they're doing. Here's what gerrymandering is. Here's what redistricting is basically. Again, I'm not a civil rights person. I want to be able to see what I'm doing on screen. Actually, Dion could probably explain this better than me if you want, Dion.
Listen, the Republicans say, hey, it's not cool to be drawing congressional seats because of racial whatever DEI claims for inclusion. We're going to draw these lines the way we like them to be drawn, so that way we have more Republicans. Seems though we're a super Republican majority state. New York, California, they've done the same. Again, the example is Massachusetts. Massachusetts has zero Republican congresspeople, yet over 35 whatever percent of the state are registered Republicans. That makes no sense to this side of the fence. So
Well, here's what they're doing in Texas. They're saying, all right, so this is the entire area. You got a portion that's black, the majority is white. So what they're saying is, for all of these white votes, we want to draw new lines. We want to redistrict. So each one of these lines represents one person in Congress, in particular the House of Representatives. So while the black people have one, they had one here. Now they're saying for that same amount of people, they want 5 representatives. So the redistricting basically means they're just going to add more MAGA Republicans to the White House. That's literally what they're doing. It's like, we're just going
and
to
if
add
they're
more.
black, then what? And if they're black or Latino, then what?
They're actually fighting black people, the rights for black people to vote. It's called the Voters Registration
No,
Act.
no, 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 no.
Oh, no,
Are
no,
you
no,
talking
no.
about We're talking about candidates here, Leo. If the candidates that are there for these new lines are black and Latino and brown or whatever, and they win, but because they're Republican, it doesn't count. Donald Trump's still racist. They come before the voting rights as always, right?
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's literally a lawsuit going on as we speak against the Voters Registration Act, Section 2. That's what's happening right now. There's a lawsuit. What does that lawsuit entail, right? What is Section 2 of the Voters Registration Act? Section 2 of the Voters Registration Act prohibits voting practices that discriminate based on race, color, or language minority status across the nation. This includes addressing vote dilution, where electoral proceedings weaken the voting power of minority groups, such as through at-large election systems or distracting plans. Section 2 is a permanent part of the Voters Registration Act. Just for kicks and giggles, what does this say? I said manga. Did I type it wrong? I wanted to do this. No, I got manga. Mega lawsuit. There we go. Let me see. GOP sues New Jersey for voter registration records. No. Oh, they're also trying to get the voter registration records across the entire country so they can see how to gerrymander correctly. I forgot about that. Thank you for making me look that up. Your right to vote. This is according to Bloomberg. Do you think Bloomberg's gonna lie about this? Your right to vote is in more danger than you realize. 60 years after the Voter Registration Act was signed, the protections it provides are under attack. This was 15 hours ago under Bloomberg. Would you accept Bloomberg? Would you accept Bloomberg?
The platform,
Yes.
as a reputable source, no.
All right. All right. So we're not going to accept Bloomberg, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's in black and white for you guys to see. I'm not going to continue this. That's madness. If you want to know more, take a look for yourself. It's in black and white. They're not denying it. They're after your voting. They're after black people's voting rights. That is actually a lawsuit that is unfortunately happening
So
right as we
scared.
speak. Listen, it's in black and white. I mean, if you don't want to accept it, I don't know what to say to you. I'm not going to have that argument. I'm not going to try and prove it to you a million different times. I've covered this. We covered that. What is mRNA again? Because I think we might be done.
Vaccines, my friend, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., my guy, taking these vaccines off the market because he believes they actually hurt more than help more. Get it? They cause more harm than anything on a massive scale, these vaccines, which need more further study.
Right, right. I mean, we don't have any evidence of that except for the fact that he believed that when he was going into office. And like I told you back in February, he was going to find that. He said he was going to put together a team, he was going to research it, and he was going to go with the science, and instead he just went with the stuff he believed anyway. So they're breaking CBC is breaking down how a massive US funding cut could impact future mRNA vaccinations. HHS official task with MAHA relations fired amid hasty rollout of mRNA contract cuts. I don't have to keep going. mRNA is being defunded, and MAHA is making it impossible to get vaccinations, some of which are necessary for the survival of infants and to
That's not
eliminate
true at all.
disease.
That's not true at all.
What's not
They're
true?
just removing the word mandatory. They're just trying to get rid of the word mandatory for any
No, no, no,
vaccine.
no, 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 no. They're now defunding it. This is not up for conjecture. If you want me, you can bring it back up and continue. Like they're defunding it. They're not even trying to. You haven't been here. Why don't you just turn on and
Yes,
listen to?
defund the vaccines that have been proven that have mercury in them, all kinds of ailments. And let's actually research them right.
He's not researching. He's defunding. Well, that's it. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, subscribe, become part of the critical thinking community, where maybe we can have more things we agree on. Right now, we're not agreeing on the vaccines, but we agree on some things. We're coming together. We're forming possibilities of a future where we can bridge some of these gaps and come up with solutions. I'm getting ready to sign out. Do you got any last statements you want to make?
Yes, next time you'll see me live next Sunday. Hopefully, I'll be in the comfort of my own home in